Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. As Ramadan draws near, many of us rely on our local masjid timetables and follow them without really understanding how the timings are calculated, or more importantly, why certain safety measures are built into them, and how these may affect us directly. During Ramadan, we're not only increasing our worship, we're entering a period where accuracy and timing matters even more. A few minutes can mean the difference between a valid and invalid prayer, or between a valid fast and one that must be made up. It's therefore important to have a basic understanding of how our local masjid prayer timetable works to ensure the validity of our obligatory prayers and Ramadan fasts, as well as to avoid praying during forbidden times. Our 5 daily prayers are tied directly to the position of the sun. Classical Islamic jurisprudence identifies 3 periods when prayer is strictly forbidden: during sunrise, at solar zenith, when the sun is at its highest point, and during sunset. These are not recommendations, they are prohibitions that scholars throughout Islamic history have taken very seriously. Let's begin with Fajr, as this is where many people get confused. Your fast begins precisely at the moment Fajr enters, at what is known as al-Subh al-Sadiq, true dawn. Historically, scholars determined that this occurs when the sun is 18 degrees below the Earth's horizon. This 18 degrees criterion for Fajr was approved by a gathering of over 70 local scholars at a meeting held on 29th of May 1983 at Jamia Masjid, Howard Street, Bradford, which unanimously agreed to adopt the 18-degree criterion. It was also endorsed by an international group of scholars in London in 1984 and through a fatwa from the World Muslim League. The great scholar Ahmad Raza Khan Sahib, in his work Dar al-Qub an Waqt al-Subh, affirmed that Fajr begins when the sun is 18 degrees below the horizon. The al-Qura calendar of Saudi Arabia uses 18.5 degrees for the start of Fajr. Numerous prominent Muslim jurists, especially from the Hanafi school and Deobandi tradition, advocate the 18-degree solar depression as the criterion for al-Subh as-Sadiq, marking the true dawn and the start of Fajr prayer time. These include Allama Muhammad Alusi al-Baghdadi in Ruh al-Ma'ani, Ashraf Ali Thanawi, Mufti Muhammad Shafi Usmani, Mufti Muhammad Taqi Usmani, as well as institutions such as Darul Uloom Karachi and Nadwatul Ulama. In the UK, including Huddersfield, some masajid use different criteria to determine the Fajr start time. You can find details of these timings on the freeislamicwill.com website. The link can be found at the end of this video. The end of Sehri, or Suhoor, coincides exactly with the start of Fajr. That is the time you use for Nafil fasts outside of Ramadan as well. However, some masajid in Huddersfield, such as Madni Masjid and Masjid Noor, publish dedicated Ramadan timetables with an extra column labelled Sehri end time, set 5 minutes before their calculated Fajr start. This precaution ensures no one accidentally eats after true dawn and invalidates their fast. Of course, it's not necessary to eat right up to the last minute. You can stop earlier if you wish. But it's helpful to know about this 5-minute safety margin, especially if you wake up during that period and need to take essential medication. The actual fast begins at the same time that Fajr begins. Practically speaking, if your timetable lists Sehri end at 5:15 a.m., stop eating at that time. But don't stand up to pray Fajr at home immediately afterwards, say at 5:16 a.m. Wait several minutes to ensure Fajr has truly entered. Better yet, if you are a man, go to the masjid and join the Jamaat. If you happen to wake up after Fajr time, the Hanafi jurists allow you to make intention, niyyah, for that day's fast up to Islamic midday, al-Dahwa al-Kubra, which is calculated as the midpoint between Fajr start and Maghrib time. Zuhur begins when the sun passes its highest point and starts to decline. However, there is a brief moment of strict prohibition at time of istiwa, when the sun is at its zenith. Astronomically, this is true solar noon, or the upper transit time, the exact midpoint between sunrise and sunset. To prevent anyone from praying during this prohibited period, local timetables, such as those of Madni Masjid and Masjid Nur, add a 5-minute safety margin to solar noon when listing Zuhur start time. These 5 minutes are not arbitrary. They are based on precise astronomical calculations designed to protect the validity of your prayer. Asr time begins once the prescribed shadow criterion is met and continues until sunset. However, delaying Asr until the sun becomes pale or yellowish is considered makruh tahriman, seriously disliked and bordering on forbidden. Many people mistakenly think they can pray Asr just a few minutes before the printed Maghrib time. For example, praying at 6:40 p.m. if Maghrib is listed at 6:45 p.m. This is a mistake. Most printed Maghrib times already include a 5-minute safety margin after sunset. That means if you pray Asr at 6:40 p.m., you may be praying during the actual sunset, a forbidden time, or even slightly after it. The solution is simple. Pray Asr early. Avoid delaying it to the last few minutes before Maghrib. Maghrib, perhaps the most anticipated time in Ramadan, begins at true sunset, when the trailing edge of the sun disappears below the horizon. Astronomers define sunset as when the sun's center is 0.833 degrees below the horizon. But this value requires adjustment for altitude and atmospheric refraction. To ensure safety, Huddersfield's Madni and Nur Masjid timetables add about 5 minutes to the predicted astronomical sunset. This protects worshippers from breaking their fast prematurely or praying Maghrib during the actual sunset, which is a forbidden period. So when your timetable announces Maghrib and Iftar, you can break your fast confidently and pray immediately. But don't delay Maghrib unnecessarily. Waiting until the sky fills with stars is considered makruh, disliked. So let me leave you with 5 concrete takeaways for prayer times during Ramadan. 1. Understand your own masjid's timetable and stick to it. 2. Stop eating at the Sehri end time, but wait a few minutes after the printed Fajr time before praying at home, or better, join the Jamaat at the masjid. 3. If your masjid lists Zuhur start time at solar noon, wait a few minutes before praying. 4. Pray Asr early. Never try to fit it in just before Maghrib. 5. Break your fast and pray Maghrib at the published time if the timetable already includes safety margins. Behind every prayer time on your masjid's Ramadan timetable lies careful technical calculation designed to protect the validity of your worship. Understanding these margins helps you avoid errors while giving you confidence and peace of mind in your fasting and prayer. Approaching your worship with such understanding is part of ihsan, striving for excellence in your devotion to Allah. Allahumma taqabbal salatana wa siyamana wa qiyamana waj'alha khalisatan liwajhika al-kareem. O Allah, accept our prayers, our fasting, and our standing in worship, and make them purely for your noble countenance. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.